Well, the entertainment spectacular has finally come to an end after 48 hours. It was WrestleMania 41, a event that didn't feel like a WrestleMania much at all, besides the exception of one or two matches as I anticipated. This was a bit of a hit or a miss show, a lot of high points, a lot more low points that we are going to get to in this video. But I want to preface and say this. This is what happens when we let Triple H book an entire WrestleMania. I think this is actually the first WrestleMania where there was no Vince influence in the build. It was all Triple H. Say what you will about WrestleMania 40 last year, but most of the stories that really happened still had a little bit of Vince written all over it, with feuds and matches that have taken place for the past couple months to a year at that point. So this is really the first WrestleMania where it was all 100%. Every feud, every build, every match had a Triple H influence. And I don't know right now, but I can see a lot of people really question Triple H's integrity as a booker. And, you know, if you asked me this a couple of months ago to around a year ago, I would have called you stupid, saying Triple H is a very good booker and that we should trust him and stuff like that. But now I can kind of understand where people are coming from, and we're going to get into that in this review. This is going to be a full 100% unbiased review of WrestleMania. I am a huge WWE fan. This isn't coming from an AEW mark trying to clickbait views or anything like that. This is from a fan who has been watching WWE basically since I was a little kid. And this is very sad to see how WWE is really turned into in the year 2025. But hey, we're here and we're going to talk all about it. If you have different opinions, leave your thoughts down in the comments below. I'd very much love to hear what you guys have to say. But we're just going to do a very brief review on all the matches that have happened on the card. This isn't going to be a very big deep dive. This is just opinions that I have on the show in general. So let's get right on into it. Starting off with night one, we kicked off with Jey Uso versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. And this match was all right, I would say. Wasn't really like a super kick fest or stuff like that we really expected. But the way this match ended really had me scratching my head. It's almost like Triple H looked at all the people on Twitter saying Jey Uso only has 5 moves. Uso splash, super kick, Samoan drop, all that shit. So what they did to combat these criticisms was they had Jey Uso steal Gunther's moves. He was hitting clotheslines, he was hitting power bombs, and the way Jey won, he hit 3 Uso splashes to Gunther, and then Jey Uso hit Gunther with a sleeper hold submission, and within like 5 seconds, Gunther taps out, and Jey Uso is the World Heavyweight Champion. They had Jey win the world title by a sleeper hold. What the fuck is going on? Now, don't get me wrong. It was inevitable. Jey Uso was going to win the world title. The yeet, 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 everything like that. You know, he's super over. I've heard this whole thing since the Royal Rumble now. It was inevitable. Jey was going to be the world champion, but the way he won that title really has me scratching my head. Then Jimmy Uso came out and Jey and Jimmy celebrated, which is cool. But again, I need to ask this question. How the hell is Triple H going to book Jey Uso as a believable world champion with defenses and title reigns and everything like that? How the hell is Jey Uso going to be a believable world champion? Like, unless they're going to have him be a transitional champion, what's going to happen? And even then, it came at the expense of one of your most unbeatable wrestlers on the roster, who for 80% of his career was a champion, beating some of the very best, and he loses to his own move. what the fuck is going on? It brings me back to that Keith Lee tweet where it was like, man, if what I'm hearing is true, poor Walter. But Jay won the title, whatever. Who gives a fuck? I really don't. I bet you Jay's not going to reign very long as world champion. So next, we go on to the match literally nobody asked for at WrestleMania. It was the New Day's Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods taking on the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar, for the World Tag Team Championship. This match we got instead of what's going to happen this coming Friday on SmackDown, where the Street Profits, DIY, and Motor City Machine Guns are going to be in a triple threat TLC match for the WWE Tag Team titles. Instead, at WrestleMania, we got this, War Raiders and New Day for the World Tag Team titles. Now, I didn't pay too much attention to this match, obviously. I didn't give two flying fucks about this match. But the New Day ended up becoming the new World Tag Team Champions, which is like, alright, cool. The War Raiders came out as like Clash of Clans characters. Oh, and this brings me to this point. Every single match at WrestleMania had a different sponsor for the match. And the barricades and the canvas and everything like that, it had the sponsor. It was like a big walking fucking advertisement. Can we stop with WWE putting advertisements in our face the entire time we're trying to watch a match? Like, I'm not gonna fucking watch a match and then play Clash of Clans right after. Sorry, I don't give a fuck if you put Cody Rhodes, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, whoever on there. I'm not going to play Clash of Clans. My friends already tried getting me to watch play Clash of Clans. I ain't playing Clash of Clans, and that game's been out for, I want to say, almost 10 years up to this point. But anyway, New Day won the World Tag Team titles. Whoop-de-doo. Cool. The Tag Team division on Raw is dead. Who cares? Then we go on to Jade Cargill versus Naomi. A very decent match, I would say. Like, I really liked it. Naomi had a new theme song, which sounded like shit. Why haven't we gotten rid of Def Rebel already? But anyway, both these ladies really did their job well. Naomi carried Jade throughout the entire match. I mean, Jade's still learning. She's in the singles division now. Hopefully, we could have Jade improve a whole lot in the ring. But Jade ended up getting the revenge win that we all knew she was going to get. Very decent match at WrestleMania. Kudos to these two ladies for being a part of the first women's singles match at WrestleMania that does not involve a world championship. Out of all the feuds, this one really deserved it. So I'll honestly tip my cap to both Jade and Naomi for this one. Then we go on to probably the best match of the night in terms of like singles matches. Jacob Fatu and LA Knight for the United States Championship. These guys fucking delivered. I loved this match going in. Sure, the build to this match could have been a lot better before the show, but these two really tore the roof off the place, and they pulled the trigger on my boy Jacob Fatu. He is the brand new United States champion. A very fun 10-minute match between these two men, and Jacob Fatu finally winning the U.S. title. Hey man, I am not upset about this at all. Hopefully they book Jacob Fatu like an absolute beast. I thought maybe they were going to have Solo Sikoa turn on Jacob Fatu in this match, but nope. They pulled the trigger. Jacob's the champion. Kudos to both these men for a very good performance. Then, we got El Grande Americano, who was supposed to face Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania, but I guess Rey Mysterio had an injury or something. So they ended up replacing El Grande Americano with Rey Fenix. And, you know, that's very cool. Okay, both Lucha Brothers have a match at WrestleMania. Rey Fenix getting a WrestleMania spotlight. Hey, I'm not upset at that. So normally, you know, you'd have Rey Fenix win, right? I mean, this would be very cool for Rey Fenix to have a win. And this also comes just a couple of hours after WWE announced that they have acquired AAA. And they're going to have a Worlds Collide show. So, okay, you're going to have a luchador win, right? Nope. they had El Grande Americano, a stupid gimmick that was funny at a time, but now is just so fucking dumb. They had El Grande Americano beat Rey fucking Phoenix. What are we doing? If you are AAA and you accept a deal with WWE and you see one of the greatest luchadors in the world lose to a guy who is making fun of a luchador, would you honestly regret making that decision? I don't give a fuck. If that was me, I'd be pissed off. And I was pissed seeing El Grande Americano beat Rey Phoenix. What are we doing? I know this is mainly just for laughs and all that shit, but why? Why did we have to do that? So you mean to tell me if Rey Mysterio was not injured, he was going to lose to this stupid gimmick at WrestleMania? Give me a fucking break. Then we go on to Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair for the Women's Championship. From what I've heard, this match was rough. I didn't pay too much attention to this match because, well, again, I couldn't really give a fuck less about this match. But Tiffany Stratton got the win. They made the right decision, thank God. I was really afraid that they were going to have Charlotte Flair win a 15th Women's Championship, and they were going to have such a big deal about it. But thank God that didn't happen. Tiffany Stratton retains at WrestleMania. I don't know where Charlotte Flair goes from here. Tiffany Stratton looked like she was injured in the match. Like, her face looked really fucked up, and there was something going around on Twitter that looked like her tooth was chipped. But then when the press conference happened, she looked completely fine. So I don't know what happened there, but whatever. Tiffany retains the Women's Championship. Hopefully this win really does something for her career. And yeah, I'm very happy that WWE made the right decision. And then we go on to the main event of night one, which was the triple threat match between Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns. They had amazing entrances for this match. Seth Rollins had a flamethrower. CM Punk had a great video package with This Fire Burns playing. I miss that theme song so much. And Living Color playing Cult of Personality, which was very good. And these three men put on a very, very good performance. It was a great match start to finish with finishers. They tried doing the Shield triple powerbomb through the table, but Roman Reigns said no. Roman did very good in this match. He was like the MVP of this match, I would say. But in the end, obviously, the whole build to this match was about Paul Heyman on a pole. Which one will Paul Heyman side with? Paul Heyman pulls out a steel chair. Looks like he's going to give it a Punk. Punk looks like he's going to hit Roman Reigns with a chair. Paul Heyman ends up low-blowing CM Punk and then gives the chair to Roman Reigns. Roman looks like he's going to do the whole payback for the Shield betrayal thing. But Paul Heyman ends up low-blowing the Tribal Chief as well, which is revealed that Paul Heyman has sided with Seth Rollins. I saw a lot of people fantasy book this, and I didn't really believe it. I didn't think they were going to pull the trigger on Paul Heyman aligning with Seth Rollins, but it happened. Rollins ends up hitting Reigns with the steel chair, hitting the curb stomp on Roman in order to win the match. Seth Rollins really needed this win. I thought Rollins was actually going to be the one to take the pin in this match. It was a very decent swerve. And hey, who knows? Maybe this alliance with Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins ends up working well. Hopefully, this is what Seth Rollins needs to get back to the world title picture, whether it's for the World Heavyweight or Undisputed Championship. And what Paul Heyman does from here, I mean, hey, I'm very intrigued. Maybe we'll get Rollins and Reigns one-on-one at Backlash, or we'll get another triple threat at Backlash, or Rollins and Punk. Who knows what happens from here? But hopefully another heel run for Seth Rollins is what he needs to get back to the top of WWE, because honestly, Seth Rollins deserves it. But all three men put on a pretty good performance on night one. Night one was definitely the weaker of the two nights, but I think the triple threat really saved it. The whole Jey Uso and El Grande Americano shit really fucking rubbed me the wrong way, and I didn't care about the World Tag Team title match. But then we got on to night 2, which we started off for the triple threat match for the Women's World Championship. Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. Decent match. All 3 women did their job well. I was really afraid that they were going to give Rhea Ripley another win at WrestleMania. But in the end, Bianca Belair hit a KOD on Rhea Ripley. Looked like she was going to win, but Io Sky hit an over-the-moonsault in order to pin Bianca and retain the Women's World Championship in a very, very good decision. Io Sky was treated like an afterthought throughout the entire feud. It was mainly looked like it was going to be Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair the entire feud. But I'm glad that Io Sky managed to retain and keep that women's championship. I really didn't want her to be a transitional champion. And I've seen a lot of people have discourse over Twitter on the fact that Bianca took the pin and Rhea should have took the pin. And I've seen people really try to do that whole, WWE is racist sort of narrative. But no, it's because Rhea Ripley is literally Triple H's golden goose. Triple H isn't going to want Rhea Ripley to take a pin, which I think is honestly stupid. I would have had Rhea take the pin. But I wouldn't say WWE is racist. I think Triple H just has a big boner for Rhea Ripley, and that's just it. But either way, I'm glad that he made the decision to have Io Sky retain. Sorry, I can't speak today. Have Io Sky retain. So, what the hell? Then we got Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest in a Sin City street fight. Very fun match. These guys had a lot of extreme spots. I thought this was going to be Damian Priest's match to win, but in the end, Drew McIntyre ended up actually getting the win. They had a very good spot where Damian Priest went through, I think, 2 tables? I don't know. And McIntyre ended up getting the pin. I also liked how in the middle of the match, Drew McIntyre took another selfie, and he tweeted out saying, "Still bored at work." It's like, McIntyre never learned. But hey, McIntyre finally gets his way on a pay-per-view. And hey, man, McIntyre is doing the best work of his career. He needs another world championship. And hopefully someday he manages to get that win back. Hopefully this is the start of a very big run for McIntyre, getting a win over Damian Priest at WrestleMania. Very fun match. Then we go on to a fatal 4-way match for the Intercontinental Championship, as we had Braun Breaker defend against Finn Balor, Penta, and Dominic Mysterio. Very fun match between all 4 of these boys. We even also had Dominic Mysterio betray Finn Balor in the middle of this matchup, trying to hit a 619. Balor manages to avoid it and ends up stomping him. Braun Breaker is a fucking beast. There was one point where he had like a massive shoulder tackle where he was like shaped up like a bowling ball. He flew like in the air. Braun Breaker is a freak of nature. He needs to be a world champion by the end of 2025 or at least the beginning of 2026. Maybe even my pick to win the 2026 Royal Rumble, honestly. Braun Breaker did very, very good. In the end, though, it looked like Finn Balor was going to win the championship as he ended up hitting a coup de grace, but Dominic hit a frog splash on Finn Balor and ends up winning the Intercontinental Championship. And Dominic actually got a very good reaction from the crowd. And hey, man, I don't care what you say. Dominic earned this win. He needed a main roster singles championship for all the incredible work that he has done over the past couple of years as a heel. He is a star in the making. And who knows, maybe at Backlash we get Balor and Dominic for the Intercontinental Championship. But hopefully Dominic is not a transitional champion. Hopefully he's booked well. But I'm glad Dominic finally got his moment. I wanted either Dominic or Finn. The right man won. Dominic is a champion. I am very excited to see what Dominic does in this position. Then we go on to Randy Orton and his open challenge. Randy Orton wanted a match at WrestleMania. It was supposed to be Orton and Kevin Owens. Orton comes down to the ring saying, hey, who's going to answer my challenge? A lot of people expected Nick Aldis. A lot of people expected Rusev. People expected Aleister Black. But it ended up being TNA World Champion Joe Hendry. coming down to the ring, an electric entrance. I didn't think they were going to bring Joe Hendry in, but hey, they ended up doing that. And in a fun little 3-minute match, Randy Orton easily got the victory over Joe Hendry. I mean, they did what they were going to do. It's unfortunate that Owens was injured. Then we probably would have had a little bit longer of a match. Joe Hendry was available. Cool. I've seen a lot of people say, hey, they brought the TNA World Heavyweight Champion in to get jobbed out to Randy Orton in WrestleMania. Like, could you imagine if Jon Moxley came down to the ring saying, hey, I want someone to come and face me, and then Jey Uso comes out, and Jon Moxley ends up beating Jey in 3 minutes. Actually, that wouldn't be that bad of a match. Actually, let's have Jon Moxley versus Jey Uso. But either way, Randy Orton gets the victory, and it was a very fun match, I gotta say. Sure, it was a little bit stupid, but hey, what the hell? I mean, Joe Hendry at WrestleMania, that's one thing off his bucket list, I guess. Then we got Logan Paul versus AJ Styles. Did not give a flying fuck about this match, but in the end, Karrion Kross ended up coming out, preventing Logan Paul's manager from bringing in Brass Knuckles. Karrion Kross tried convincing AJ Styles to put the Brass Knuckles on. AJ throws away the knuckles, hits Karrion Kross, and in the end, Logan Paul took advantage with the right hand and the weird finisher that I think they called the Paulverizer. And Logan Paul beats AJ Styles. I was pissed off. They had my GOAT, AJ Styles, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, lose to a fucking YouTuber at WrestleMania. I don't give a fuck if they have big plans for Logan Paul. I don't care. Having him beat AJ Styles is a very, very shitty decision. The fact Logan Paul is even still in WWE is rubbing me the wrong way. Hopefully, this does not mean Logan Paul is getting a world title shot anytime soon. That would be a terrible decision. But, yeah, Logan Paul beat AJ Styles. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad they gave Karrion Kross something to do at WrestleMania. But still, having it lead to Logan Paul beating AJ, I would have honestly loved it if AJ Styles sided with Karrion Kross and used the Brass Knucks to beat Logan Paul, but that didn't happen. Whatever, cool. Then we go on to the Women's Tag Team Championship, as Lyra Valkyria was supposed to team up with Bayley, but they said that Bayley got attacked backstage or something like that, and she wasn't medically cleared. So Lyra Valkyria had to find a mystery partner to take on Liv and Raquel for the Women's Tag Team titles, which ended up being Becky Lynch. Everyone got what they wanted. Becky Lynch is back, and they won the Women's Tag Team Championships. Which is like, what the fuck? So, you mean to tell me that this was probably always this was probably the plan the whole time? That we were going to have Lyra team up with Bayley. They do a fake injury angle with Bayley just to take her off the card so that way they can insert Becky coming back. And then they win the Women's Tag Team Championships. What the fuck are we doing? You could have had Lyra Valkyria issue an open challenge for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, and that's how you had Becky Lynch come back. Because that just basically was a big middle finger to Bayley, because what the fuck are we doing? And also, I don't care, Liv and Raquel should have won this match. You should have had some shenanigans. Liv and Raquel should have retained the Women's Tag Team Championships, because now that tells me the Women's Tag Team division is fucking dead, as this copy and paste randomized universe mode team of Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch are the new Women's Tag Team Champions. And before you guys tell me, oh, they were good friends down in NXT, they have a whole lot of history, I don't care. I didn't give a fuck that Becky Lynch came back. I don't give a fuck that they're the new Women's Tag Team Champions, because the Women's Tag Team division is dead. You might as well send the Women's Tag Team titles back down to NXT, because that's the only place where they have legitimate women's tag teams, because neither of the women's mid-card championships were defended at WrestleMania, but this shit was. What are we talking? What are we doing here? Becky Lynch is a champion, her first match back. This isn't really going to help the Becky Hogan allegations. But then we go on to the main event, John Cena versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. And I shit you not, guys, I almost fell asleep during this match. This match was so goddamn slow. But thankfully, I managed to stay awake long enough to see Travis Scott come out, and Cody Rhodes was standing in the ring, got mad that Travis Scott pulled the referee out of the ring. Travis Scott then comes to the ring. Cody Rhodes gives Travis Scott a crossroads, which allowed John Cena to get back to his feet. And then they did a tug of war with the WWE Championship. Cody ends up grabbing it from Cena. And Cena does like a little, "Oh no, I'm sorry, please don't hurt me." Like the most classic heel tactic in the book. And Cody's like, "I'm going to hit you. I'm going to hit you with the championship." And then at the end, he's like, "Oh no, I can't do it." And then Cena ends up taking advantage, hitting Cody with the belt. And then referee comes back in the ring. 1, 2, 3. John Cena wins the 17th World Championship. Don't get me wrong, guys. I am happy that they gave John Cena the 17th World Championship. I am happy that John Cena beat Cody Rhodes. But the way that happened was insulting. Why the fuck Travis Scott was out there is beyond me. And thankfully, I'm not the only one that thought this. But why the fuck was The Rock not there? The whole thing of why John Cena was a heel was because The Rock made John Cena literally sell his soul to The Rock. But you couldn't have The Rock come out there and at least help John Cena win the belt. Or if you didn't want to have The Rock help John Cena, you could have had The Rock come out and celebrate with John Cena. You mean to tell me that the whole build of John Cena becoming a heel had a lot to do with The Rock, and when you had the payoff of John Cena winning the World Championship from Cody Rhodes, The Rock is nowhere to be found, not even on satellite. We had to have Travis Scott out there to help him. Don't get me wrong, I knew a lot of people wanted to hear Fiend, 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 as if we didn't hear that song enough throughout the entire 2 nights. But Jesus Christ, we're going to be sitting there on our deathbeds telling our grandkids, like 40, 50 years down the line, that we were there for when John Cena won his 17th World Championship, and it was because of Travis fucking Scott. What the fuck are we doing with that? Hopefully John Cena, he has a decent run with the belt. Hopefully Travis Scott can stay the fuck away from WWE. What the fuck are we doing with The Rock? I really don't know. Maybe we'll get Cena versus Orton at Backlash, or we'll get Cena Rhodes 2 at Backlash. I don't know what the fuck we're going to be doing. But John Cena's the brand new WWE champion. And that was WrestleMania 41. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I had a decent amount of fun during this show. But most of these 2 cards did not feel like WrestleMania. There were a lot of title changes on these shows, yes. There were a lot of fun moments, like Joe Hendry coming out. But a lot of shitty booking, a lot of terrible decisions throughout. What the fuck are we doing here? What is Triple H thinking? Especially with the Night 2 main event. Again, I'm happy that John Cena is WWE champion. He got that 17th. He broke the record. But again, the way they did it is insulting. What the fuck are we doing? Again, I said that WrestleMania 41, right after the Royal Rumble, I said WrestleMania 41 could be one of the worst cards in WrestleMania history. And while I might have been a little bit too harsh, I want to say I wasn't really wrong. We screwed Bayley out of a WrestleMania spot so that way Becky Lynch could come in, and we had a randomized tag team win the Women's Tag Team Championships. What? Really? Was that always the plan? Was that the plan? I feel like Jesse, when he was about to shoot Walter White in Breaking Bad, was that the plan? What are we doing? Triple H really needs to sit there and rethink himself as a booker. He spent an hour and 8 minutes glazing himself in the Hall of Fame. But what he should have done was sit in the writer's room and find something that made sense. Because I found myself being on my phone throughout most of WrestleMania. I found myself falling asleep in the main event. What are we doing? Now, don't get me wrong. I think that the whole Paul Heyman-Seth Rollins alliance is very, very interesting. But again, why was this in the main event? This was a Paul Heyman on a pole match. This is meaningless. The Women's U.S. Championship wasn't on the line. The Women's IC Championship wasn't on the line. And the SmackDown Tag Team titles in a division that was built up for 6 months got shifted to SmackDown over a Raw Tag Team title match that nobody cared for. And then we had Rey Fenix lose to El Grande Americano hours after WWE acquires Triple A. What are we doing? WWE really needs to fucking have a refresh. Or we need to have someone else. Because this is starting to look like Vince level shit fucking booking. And I will even say this. Even Vince wouldn't book this much stupid shit. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of a grade for WrestleMania, I'll be nice. I'll give it about a 5 or a 6 for both nights. But this was probably one of the weirdest WrestleManias I've ever seen. I don't know. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm expecting a lot of Triple H cooked. I'm expecting a lot of you're a mindless hater. I'm going to expect a lot of yeets in the comments. But I don't care anymore, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're new here, be sure to leave a like. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to turn post notifications on. Let me know what match you liked the most, what match you liked the least, and why. And in terms of next time, this has been your boy Will from Will's Wrestling Corner. I will see you in the next video. Be good people, and peace.